everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a story time about my experience having my first child while living in a hotel. Now this story takes place 2 years ago, back in December of 2019. We lived in that hotel from the beginning of November to the beginning of March. So we lived there for 3 months. And it was an interesting experience. The reason why we were living there is because we had a house fire the day of my baby shower, and I actually have a story time about the house fire, like how it went down and what we did after the fact that happened. If you want to check that out, I will definitely link it down in the description, and I will put the little quick thing at the top if you guys want to check out that story time. So when we went into the hotel, I was 7.5 months pregnant. I was almost 8 months pregnant. And we moved in around the beginning of November, and I had Kason December 20th, but he was due December 2019, but he came early, like a week early, so he was born December 20th. But anyway, so we moved into the hotel. I had to bring the bassinet, all the clothes that I got for my baby shower, all the baby bottles, formula, just everything I needed, we brought into the hotel room. Now the hotel room I was staying in at that time had a full-on kitchen. Like, it had a stove, a dishwasher, a sink, fridge, a counter, cabinets, it had cups and everything. So it was like a full-on kitchen, which was really nice. Didn't have any bedrooms. It had a bathroom, and then the bed was on the other side of the kitchen. So it was almost like a studio apartment, kind of. And it had like a desk for a computer if you wanted to bring your computer or whatnot. So we moved in there. I moved all my stuff in. I got ready for the baby because we weren't initially planning on being there as long as we were. Like, the insurance company told us that we would be back into our house on the end of December, and we ended up being there till March. So way longer than we were expecting. Being in the hotel wasn't bad, but it was kind of annoying because you would get woken up like every day around like 8 a.m. so the housekeepers could come clean our bedroom. And so that was concerning me, because if we would have, what I was thinking at the time is, what if when they come do the cleaning, if I have the baby while we're still living in this hotel, they wake him up and like things like that. So I was really worried about that, you know, because they required that they clean our room at least twice a week while we're living there. They changed up their policy for us because we were actually living there as a home until our house got fixed from the house fire. So December rolls around, and it's getting closer to me having Kason and everything. And so I get everything prepared just in case he does come earlier. So I had everything prepared. At that time, I was worried that I had a blood pressure issue because I was always really hot. And I always felt kind of sick a lot, like really lightheaded and stuff. So while I was living there, I literally took my blood pressure every single day. I mean, it's not a bad thing to check it. I think it's good to check your blood pressure every so often, because you never know if something could be going on and you just don't know with your blood pressure. So I did check my blood pressure every day. I had to walk up a flight of stairs every day to get to our hotel room because it was upstairs. And me being 9 months pregnant, it was not fun. And their elevators were down, so I literally had to walk up like a huge flight of stairs to get to our room, which is at the very top. And we would buy groceries, so it sucked, like carrying all the bags up those flight of stairs. It wasn't fun, like, let me just tell you that. And anyway, so a few weeks go by, I go to an appointment. My doctor did ultrasound every appointment, and so I did my ultrasound. He told me that the baby had to come because I have low amniotic fluid, things like that. I actually have a more detailed video about my birth story and NICU experience. I will also link that down in the description, and then you guys can check that out as well. Anyway, so he says that. I go to the hospital, I have Kason the next day, and then I go home a day later. I bring him in the hotel room, and I remember like just staring at him like, what am I supposed to do with you? But anyway, so about a day goes by, and I'm taking care of him in the hotel. You know, he wakes up every 2 to 3 hours to feed. It wasn't too bad or anything like that. And then for the first month, it wasn't so bad with him because when the housekeepers would come in, he would still stay asleep. Like, they wouldn't vacuum every time, but they would clean every time and change out the garbage bags and things like that. They would actually ask me what I want done, and I would just tell them, oh, I want more towels for the bathroom, and then I just want the garbages switched out, and I'll clean up our mess, because, you know, it would get messy with, like, diapers, baby clothes, my clothes, everything. And so I took care of that, but they were nice enough to understand that I have a baby and I don't want them to vacuum every single time, so that was awesome. About a month later, Kason turned 1 month, and that's when he started becoming more aware of sound. So he'd be sleeping, like taking a nap, and they would come in and they would wake him up. And because they would need to vacuum at least once a week, so they would come in and vacuum, you know, do everything they're supposed to do, and it got to a point where it started waking him up. So I would finally get him to, like, take a nap, and then they would come in, vacuum, do all this stuff, and it would wake him up every single time. And it was kind of getting frustrating, so I went to the front desk. I said, I know they're supposed to clean our rooms, it's required, but can I vacuum my own room? Because my mom brought her vacuum from home just in case she needed it, because our dogs were staying in their room. My mom was staying in a totally opposite room from me, by the way. The front desk lady said, yeah, that's fine, you should be able to do that. And then I was like, okay, thank you. And so I vacuumed the hotel room while he was awake, and I vacuumed on my own time. It was nice because I didn't have to worry that they were gonna wake him up with their vacuums, because their vacuum is 10 times louder than the one that my mom brought from home. So it was nice being able to use that vacuum. As Kason grew, you know, at about 3 months old, that's when we were about to leave the hotel room anyway. But Kason turned 3 months old, and we were still living in the hotel, and that's when things, like, started to get kind of hard. Like, I was in my own room, and this is before COVID, like, literally right before COVID. So this is around the end of February of 2020. Kason started becoming fussy, like very, very fussy. And he would cry all day if I wasn't holding him. So I literally had to hold him while going to the bathroom, do my hair. I would have him laying on me while I was doing my makeup, just things like that. And people started to complain about Kason's crying. And I was kind of mad because I was like, well, it's a baby, what do you expect? You know? So the lady that worked at the front desk in the lobby knocks on my hotel room door and tells me that if my baby's gonna be fussy, I need to go to a relative's house. And I remember I was like, what? We live here, our house is being remodeled. I can't just up and go to my relative's house all day long every single day because he's a fussy baby. And she was just being really rude about it, and, you know, I don't know, like, the longer that we lived there, the more rude that lady was starting to become. So the person I asked if I could vacuum my own room was a totally different person, but when she found out that they were letting me do that, she was not having it. So she walks to my room and knocks on the door, and she said, you need to let the housekeepers vacuum with their vacuums. We need to make sure these rooms stay clean at all times, because when you guys leave, someone else is going to be staying in here, and we can't just have it build up of mess and crumbs. And I remember telling her, I was like, I vacuum the room really good every day with my mom's vacuum. And she was like, well, that's not acceptable. We have housekeepers for a reason. We wouldn't have housekeepers if we let every single person that stayed in our hotel use their own stuff. And I was like, okay, sorry. So she shuts the door, walks away, and I remember I was so mad. Like, you can't make an exception for someone who just had a baby and doesn't want them woken up every single morning by a housekeeper's vacuum. Like, she was just so mean. Like, I don't even know what her problem was. And then she started complaining about everything. Like, our TV went out in our hotel room, so a repairman came and brought us, like, a spare TV because the other TV went out. And she blamed me for the TV going out. She's like, well, maybe if you didn't have it running all the time, it wouldn't have went out. And I didn't have the TV running all the time because it woke up my baby. And so she was just becoming so rude. And so she's like, well, you can have the spare TV for today, but after that, we're just gonna have to take it, and you're just gonna have to deal with not having a TV. And I was like, but that's like my only source of entertainment, because my child wants to be held all the time. And she was like, you're just gonna have to deal with it till we can get a new TV for your room. And I was just furious. I was so over living in that hotel because that lady just started getting meaner and meaner. Like, she would nitpick everything. Like, every time we would go, you have to go through the lobby to get to the breakfast room. And of course, we were living there, so we were taking advantage of the free breakfast. So every time either me or my mom would go into the breakfast room, she would always have a remark to say. Like, she'd be like, well, did you let the housekeepers vacuum? Did you let the housekeepers clean? Did you get your TV to work? Is your baby crying all the time still and bothering our guests? And I'm like, no. Like, it got to a point where I would just ignore what she had to say. Like, I wouldn't even acknowledge that she was there. And she was just becoming so rude. Like, I couldn't even go into the lobby and buy a drink if I wanted, or she would make a comment to me. Like, it just started becoming really hard. And it was also hard because living in a hotel was really hard in general, because I was secluded from my family, and my boyfriend worked, so he's always at work, and I never really got to go anywhere. So I was stuck in my hotel room by myself for about 2 whole months before I brought my baby into my parents' room and let the dogs get used to him, because they weren't used to him at first. So it was really stressful bringing him in there. So I literally had to sit in my hotel room without a TV or anything to entertain me. It was lonely. I remember I started getting depressed, and I started missing our house and being around everybody. And so it wasn't like a super ideal way of living, or a super ideal way of becoming a first-time mom while living in a hotel. It was really hard. It wasn't fun, but I was grateful that we were able to live somewhere while our house was being worked on. It had a kitchen, had everything, but it just wasn't like the most ideal experience for me, or the way I really wanted things to be after I had my baby. But it is what it is. It was an experience. It was definitely an experience. And if any of you ever have a house fire, or have a reason to be living in a hotel for your house to be rebuilt or fixed, if you're pregnant or have a baby, it's hard. It's hard, especially when housekeepers need to come do their job, because it's hard. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you are new here, if you want to subscribe to my family, go ahead. I post vlogs, motherhood videos, motherhood advice videos. I post videos about my favorite toys, baby products, whatever a motherhood and lifestyle channel is all about is what I do. I also do speed cleaning videos, a lot of them, because you guys seem to really like them. So I also do those. So if you enjoy those, go ahead and check those out as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.